up, footballers? Welcome back to another episode of Spitting Previews. Jeffrey and James here with you as always. In this upcoming Saturday, which is June 2nd at 7:30, it's a home match for the Chicago Fire, our men in red. They have the San Jose Earthquake. James, what do you think about that right now?
Good time to get San Jose Earthquakes coming in here. They're not one of the better teams in either conference of MLS. They have some offensive firepower, but they're leaky in the back. So if we could get a couple of goals, especially at home, take these 3 points, that's going to be influential to continuing the playoff hunt.
Well, and we got to get home right. We got to get right at home.
We need to get right at home.
It's so crazy how drastic our home and away record is from last year. It's like flipped. But like you said, San Jose, they've really been struggling defensively. I'll read the stats right now. So they've played 12 matches. They've only for 9 points. 12 matches, 9 points, 2 wins, 3 draws, 7 losses. That's good for 10 points 10th in the West, there, for 9 points, like I just said. They average 1.5 goals per game. Average possession rate is at 48%. Shots per game, average shot per game is at 12.8. That's a little low. Their GD is at -5, 18 goals for, 23 goals against. So, wow.
One thing that stands out for me, from our last opponent, Philadelphia, these guys get less shots, but do produce more goals.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit better finishing quality here. They're still not, maybe they're a bit more efficient with finishing their chances than Philadelphia has, our previous opponent.
Well, 18 goals, that's not bad. Like in the MLS, if you look at the table, that's not bad, but 23 goals is pretty bad. So,
that's a bad goals against. 23 goals against is pretty bad defense.
Bad, so.
They're leaking in back. But when you look at their lineup, you could see that they got some firepower. Let's go into their
we'll go into form real quick. So their last 5 games, starting with their furthest game that they've played their last 5 games of form. 0-1 loss home against Portland, at Minnesota, a 1-3 win. At Vancouver, a 2-2 draw. Home against DC United, a 1-3 loss. A 1-0 loss at LA Galaxy. So that's only, 4 points in their last 5 games?
Trending down and just continuing that trend.
Yeah, so they're really haven't been doing well. I mean, 9 points in 12 matches. I mean, you can get that in 3 matches.
Yeah, 3-1 loss against DCU, who is not, one of the better teams. But they did beat Minnesota, who has been doing well.
Been better.
So, but, I mean, a little bit of an up-down performance.
Well, they really haven't been playing too many, great teams, Galaxy, DC United, Vancouver, Minnesota, Portland, so they really are struggling. So let's get into some of their tendencies. On attack, they like to go up the middle, they like long balls, and they really possess a lot in their own half, but they do have some quality players that if they get free and get loose, they can burn you. So they really do have some firepower, especially on the wings. They have some good wingers and some good center mid players.
Interestingly, though, they play a 4-4-2. The other formation I saw them play was a 3-4-3, but they mostly deployed the 4-4-2. So they played through the middle, it seems, on that. And some of their best players are right there in the middle. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and their roster hasn't really changed too much. We'll get into it. But some bad things they do on defense, they really struggle against through balls. They foul a lot in good areas in their own defensive zone, so that's really good for players like Katai and Basti that can score free kicks. They struggle against skilled players. Who scored said specifically that they struggle against skilled players.
Katai, Schweinsteiger, those guys are going to have a field day against these guys because they're going to be probably sitting back. They're probably maybe a bit too respectful on defense because
the Fire are.
They are just maybe they're a bit more like Daniel Johnson defending where they just get caught out.
Absolutely. So that is. So the Fire should be able to score plenty of goals. Here's the thing, is they haven't been able to do that. So this is definitely a team where Paunovic should roll out a good game plan, not like, his defensive game plans. The past few games, it's pretty evident that he's been, game planning more on the defensive side and then trying to just nick a goal. I mean, this is a game, especially at home, where you got a game plan for your offensive strengths and come out swinging.
The scouting report included that fact that the teams that have done well against these guys come out and play aggressive.
Yeah.
Super aggressive. It's like they don't even respect the San Jose Earthquakes offense. They just think, what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to score more goals than you, And that's what's going to happen because you guys are just leaky enough that we can do that. And you guys have some firepower, but we feel like we can withstand that.
Well,
so that's what teams have been doing against these guys.
has 6 goals. That's quite a bit. Wando only 2. He's a little bit older.
A quality player, nonetheless.
They're 2 starting outside mids. Eriksson and Kashavelli both have 3 assists. So, they definitely have some firepower. You want me to get into the lineup now?
But they are defensively woeful. And that's where you got to go aggressive against these guys. Put them up against them. Make them play in their own half, where they like to play, kind of like the Fire. But they don't seem like they... I'm not sure that they have the pieces in the back to be able to play that very successfully. They do have Nick Lima out in the right back.
He's been playing well.
Second year in the league, but playing very well.
Yeah. Speaking of Nick Lima, you just alluded to it. He's actually according to Who Scored, to their form report, he is the second highest on their team with a 7.16. Nick Lima. Jungwirth is a 7.28. He's their highest. Really, the top 6 players, these guys have 6 players that are playing pretty well, and they play a lot of minutes, but the rest of the team just really is struggling, and they're the offensive guys. Jungwirth's 1, Nick Lima's 2 at 7.6, Godoy 7.14, 4 is Kashavelli, that outside mid, 5 is Eriksson at 7.13, Kashavelli, was 7.14, so all these numbers are very close. And Huijsen, who has 6 goals,
their other striker
is sitting at 7.04. So those 6 players, like we said, they're kind of their go-to guys, but those are all, except for Nick Lima, offensive players.
It seems like they, since they do have Huijsen as their leading goal scorer, at least they have maybe some semblance of a game plan. Let's go into their starting lineup real quick.
The starting lineup, so start with their keeper. Tarbell, he's their keeper. He's been a little bit up and down, but he's a young 24-year-old American. They have Salinas. Salinas is their left back. Cummings is their center back. Ockford started the last game, but their other center back, Quintana, started more games, so they're kind of in flux going back and forth between those 2 center backs, obviously when they're giving up this many goals. Then they had, like we said, Nick Lima, who is playing pretty well at that right back spot. Then this is where it gets interesting. They have Kashavelli as their left mid. Remember, they play a 4-4-2. Kashavelli is their left mid. Jungwirth is that left center mid. Godoy, right center mid. Magnus Eriksson is their right mid. Then they have Chris Wondolowski up top with Huijsen. So
I wonder if Wando plays more like their target forward, allowing Huijsen to kind of run a little bit more free. You got Florian Jungwirth there and Godoy. Both of those guys right there in the center of mid, they're offensively inclined. I know that they have they're in the center of the park, so they are really relied upon defensively, but they're also got a lot of offensive panache to them.
Maybe that
they can spring these guys. They could spring a Kasavshelly, or they could spring an Eriksson.
And that explains why their GD is -5. They have a decent amount of goals in 18, but they give up 23 goals.
They probably hump long balls up to Wando, who could settle them down, who could maybe hold on to a second, feed off Florian Jungwirth or whoever is running up, or Godoy. Godoy is good on the ball as well. And they find a little space, and then boom, they start playing up the middle, and then they can eventually when they get to the final third,
when they get the ball out wide,
that's when they're
dangerous.
very well, and that's one of their strengths. So probably they play up to a point. They play through the middle. When they get into the final third, they probably switch it out to the wings, get those crosses in.
Yep. All right, let's move on to our player to watch. James, you want to start? You want me to go?
I'll start off. For me, I was playing with the idea of Wando just because I feel like he's good against the Fire.
No, he missed that Belgium goal.
But yeah, we might be hurting against him. I'm going to go with Godoy. Godoy, as far as MLS fantasy goes, he's one of those guys who you could really rely on, especially last year. He was just very, very good.
Yeah, I'm going to go with their striker, Huijsen, who has 6 goals currently. That's a lot. 6 goals right now. It's 12 matches with 6 goals, so clearly he's their danger man. They do have Wondolowski, but this Huijsen fella, it's evident that is who is going to be, standing in front of the net, probably finishing those goals from those outside mids and those center mids creating them. So we got to watch Huijsen for sure.
And sometimes people concentrate a little bit too much on Godoy and a little bit too much on Huijsen. That's where Florian Jungwirth comes in, and before you know it, he can spring on you real quick too.
But yeah, their 2 outside mids both have 3 assists each, so that's pretty good.
Getting the crosses in.
Your prediction, James?
Prediction. It's a Fire match at home against a struggling San Jose. Let's go for a 3-1 win here. Probably the biggest goal pouring output that I've predicted in a while. And I think the Fire could do it. Let's continue the winning ways. We're filming this ahead of the actual result for Philadelphia, so let's hope we got a result against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And all the same, and hopefully they get another result at home. This is really where the critical points are. If you could get a tie against Philadelphia and get home points, 4 points out of the 6 possible, I'd be very pleased. So let's get a 3-1 win here.
I want a 3-0 win. We got to start building home back into a fortress.
Yes.
It's still early enough where the Fire, especially with these run of games that they have, where they can, stack some W's together, get those points back, and, climb their way into a playoff spot. So they got to turn home into a fortress. Again, I really hope we don't see Pano they do have some quality, so you might see him, do some defensive tinkering like he has done. A lot of matches he does different things defensively to key in on their best players. But like we said, 23 goals against, you almost rather just see him just throw out the best, most attacking lineup, especially at home, and we can just run at them and score more goals than them. So I'm going 3-0. I'm going 3-0. Yeah, Schweini.
Put Schweinsteiger
in the midfield.
And in the best two places to succeed and to put the San Jose defense under pressure, because those are two quality guys that are going to be having to deal with a lot, and it should be a recipe for success.
Like you said, Schweinsteiger, he has to play in the center mid. When he plays center back, we just sit too much, and we don't need to sit against a team that can attack. So we need to push the
go
field
aggressive.
up. Yeah. But anything else for you, James?
That's about it for us. Yeah.
That's about all I got.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed the analysis, give us end of predictions. Give us a like if you have any to add to your own. Comments below, and subscribe for more Spitting Fire. We'll see you guys later. Check us out on Twitter anytime. All right, later.